and welcome to Spotlight Games, a drop-in, drop-out podcast. I am your host, Patrick, and dropping in alongside me, my co-host for the last 200 episodes of Spotlight Games, Kamen Darty. Kamen, how we doing?
Dude, I am absolutely shell-shocked.
Yeah?
Shell-shook, is that a word?
Shell-shook? I think we can say shell-shook for sure.
I'm feeling very shell-shook right now. 200 episodes, Patrick.
Yeah. And this is episode 200, so you might say, oh, hasn't it been 199? In fact, when I was doing research to remind myself just some things about our past, I forgot we recorded an episode 68.5 to build in another week to record episode 69 when Liz McLean joined us to talk about the sexiest characters in video games. So we have done 200 episodes of the Spotlight Games podcast before tonight. So I guess this is technically 201, but what can you do? For everyone in the chat, you are seeing a difference. It didn't sound different because we're still using Basic Fun, aka Chike's intro song that he did, but we have rebranded Spotlight Games. It is now Spotlight Games, a drop-in, drop-out podcast. We have a new logo, courtesy of the French Dip design. And moving forward, Spotlight Games will be on the drop-in, drop-out feed, on the drop-in, drop-out Twitch channel, YouTube, podcast, all the things. Spotlight Games is now Drop-in, Drop-out's news show. And it's like, it has been, on paper, is a ton changing. No, but what we wanted was to help clarify the message, help clarify. And it's like, if you subbed on the Spotlights channel, now you don't have to do that anymore. You can just sub here. And of course, still at the JK Games podcast for one more game on Mondays. But we're working on synergy. And now, of course, as you can see, French Dip Design's new beautiful logo. It's in the colors of Drop-in, Drop-out. It has the font of Drop-in, Drop-out. So very, very good. And as Colemine says, so no Spotlight Games is a money laundering account. That's exactly
Honestly,
right.
We should do it. I'm not saying that we're going to do it. I'm saying we should do it.
That's exactly right. Also, Kayla Gray in the chat with a sub. Earlier we got the Gianni sub. We're getting a lot of shout outs for the new logo design, which of course, as I already said, shout out to the French Dip design. But yeah, so if you're listening to this on podcast services, this is the last time that you will see Spotlight Games on this feed. So if you don't already, please go subscribe to the Drop-in, Drop-out feed. And then now you'll get more of our content in one feed, which will be very fun and good, I hope. Also, shout out for the community hype train happening right now. Very, very exciting. Kamen, as we go on, we remember the last 200 episodes of this podcast. For people that have been around here quite some time, episode 13 of our show, years ago now in 2021, we unveiled the Golden Beefies, which was an award show that you came up with. That was us just making up dumb awards. It, as I said on our socials earlier, it's a lot like the Ennies, but more spotlight coded. And so you had, again, a great idea to what if we do the Golden Beefies, but about the last 200 episodes. And so we have some categories that will be about episodes themselves, about spotlight stuff themselves. But overall, the pool of games that we are pulling from is anything that came out in the last 200 episodes, which is September 2021 until now. So, high level concept, but it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. But before we do that, I think we should just reminisce a little bit about some OG Spotlight games.
God.
I kind of can't believe that it's been almost 5 years that we've been doing this.
Dude, it feels surreal to think about. I remember when, and we've talked about this on the episode before, I feel like this is a perfect episode to have a large, maybe a little deeper conversation, or at least rehash this conversation. But when Spotlight came to be, just so I'm living in the city still. I'm not wearing sunglasses at this point in my life. Things are different. Things are very different for both of us. I wasn't married yet, I don't believe. It was weird. I remember sitting in our living room and Patrick was like, I've been wanting to talk to you about this forever. And I was like, he's finally going to ask me to do anal. And he goes, I want to do a podcast. And I was like, oh, it's about fucking time that we were having this conversation, because been wanting to do a podcast for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we went through names. Patrick, do you remember some of the names that we workshopped?
I really only remember one. Like there are definitely more. And I honestly, I probably have the note on my phone still if I really tried to search, because I'm a hoarder of data and I don't delete shit. But I remember the one, because I've told this story before, that friend of the show who has been on 6 times. I pulled some stats. I'll share some stats later. Mondo, aka Chunk Like the Mongo, had a show called The Save Point, and that was the name I really wanted. But then we Googled Save Point podcast, and it popped up. And then weeks later, I met him doing a podcast masterclass. I was like, "You're the fucking guy." But do you have any off like that you remember other than the Save Point that we talked about?
One of them was we were gonna go with sandbox games. That was one that we had dabbled with. Here's the thing. I think it's crazier is Patrick and I's podcasting together. At this point, this is 200 episodes of Spotlight, but we've done roughly, I would say, roughly 300, probably 300 plus episodes total together over the years.
Yeah.
Over the last 5 years, between Save Trash Cinema, Spotlight TV, Spotlight Games, Dido, being on JK Games. So, like, we've been around the block, and it's very funny. Patrick mentioned to me, he was like, I went back and listened to the first episode we did, and I went back today and did the same.
Yeah.
And it is dramatic.
Oh man.
It is dramatic.
What a change.
It's so interesting, and I think this is something that like people don't really take into consideration of, is the cadences of like how it takes time for you when you're running a show like this to get into the cadence with someone else.
Sure.
To be able to know like where are they at, knowing when, like, how they do their pause breaks and how to like step in. But I will say that the thing that we don't talk that much about is the fact that I feel like we got very good doing Save Trash Cinema on how to set each other up for jokes.
Sure. Yes, 100%.
Like we got really good, and you can definitely tell like early on, like you can see there's like that first episode, there's like a little bit, just a little bit of it. And like now I'm like, it's something that just is second nature. People, when we hang out in person, people are concerned of like how we operate.
So a couple things. I found the note. Now, this isn't all, because I remember doing it by hand. I remember because we were in your living room of your old apartment, and I was writing down a lot. But the ones that made it into this note from 2021 is Checkpoint, which I wrote Taken, I think. Save Point, which we just mentioned. 2 NPCs and a podcast? What a
fucking
bad
gold.
name.
Fucking gold, actually.
We also had podcast versus podcast, shorthand PvP. It was like, what? And then PvK, like PvP or PvE, but Patrick versus Kamen, which is like, we landed on the right name. Spotlight Games, definitely the best of them.
We landed on the right. I remember there's someone took the Twitter account, but never used it for anything.
That's
for Spotlight
right.
Games.
That's
so we
right.
were like so mad early on, because we were like, some fucking person out there just got the handle and did nothing with it.
That's right.
And we couldn't use it. So we had to do like Spotlight Games Pod or like Spot Games Pod or something weird for Twitter. I don't even know what it is anymore.
I was listening to some old episodes, and I want to go through some of that now before we start the Golden Beefies. But there was, at the very beginning, we were Spot Games Pod on Twitter. We were Spotlight Games Pod on Instagram, and we were Spotlight Games Podcast on, I think, TikTok maybe. And it was like, in the episode, you're like, we gotta synergize that. That is so bad. I was like, yeah, that's really bad that we're 3 different things in 3 different places. But yeah, I was looking through. So some history. The first 7 episodes of the podcast, audio only, because we recorded those together in my office, where, at the old house that a lot of people would remember from shows, we put down like a fold out table and recorded across the table from each other. And then episode 8 was the first episode that we did a recording of, which was on StreamYard, that we would then post on YouTube. It wasn't live. We weren't live for a while. Do you happen to remember the first time we went live, Kamen? Which episode number?
God. Absolutely no idea. It had to have been probably pushing episode 50.
It was split the difference. It was 34. episode 34 in May 25th of 2022. So we've been doing it for what, like 7 and 8 months ish at the time. And yeah, so that first episode that we had video for, the news topics or the main topics that episode were Forza Horizon review roundup, Guardians of the Galaxy review that we did it. You did a Tales of Arise review, and then we had just seen the first gameplay of Elden Ring, and we talked about that. Yeah,
God,
and then N7 Day had happened, and we did. You remember there was a teaser poster that was like a crater that looked kind of like Legion's like face light, and we talked about like what that might mean, which
nothing.
Smash cut to 5 years later means nothing.
That is fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, actually, I want to play the very beginning of that episode really fast because one, the quality is so dog shit, but also we just, like you were talking about earlier, we just still were not doing great with like our cadence and shit. Chat, let me know that you can hear this, or if you can't.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Spotlight Games podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick, and I am joined by the flavorous boy, the most flavorsome boy I know, Kamen Hardy. How are you, Kamen?
I'm doing wonderful, Patrick. Thank you for calling me flavorful.
Flavorful. I said flavorsome, which I don't believe is a word.
Yeah, it might not be. I just feel like when you call me that, I'm just one step closer to becoming Guy Fieri, which has been my life's goal. So
Fieri. Please.
You look like you.
Put some respect on the name. Fieri.
You look like you should be found on the side of a missing persons poster.
Correct. But man, like thinking about how bad that looked and how we were just so not super uncomfortable on the mic, but definitely not as comfortable on the mic. I mean, 192 more episodes, of course not. But man, I couldn't breathe.
What I think's very funny is watching me specifically through this.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with someone the other day where I was like, what you guys don't realize is there's two versions of me. Like you have the Kamen version that you see that you see on Wednesday nights and Friday nights, and when we do Sad Boy Movie Club, and like that's the version of me that exists outside of podcasting. But when lights and the mics come on and we go live, I turned into a different person. I am the dumpster boy at that point. There's two versions, so it's fun rewatching this and watching myself. It's like that's still the normal Kamen that
the dumpster boy had not been born. Yeah,
the dumpster boy hasn't been born yet.
And the dumpster boy wouldn't be born for a bit because in episode 13, which was the first Golden Beefies, at the end of that show, we announced that that we're doing Save Trash Cinema. And
no
that's like
fucking way
coming soon. We were like, to end the show, we want to we have a fun announcement. So cool. And we announced that we've been wanting to do this other podcast, and you give the spiel about what it'll be. And then it's 3 weeks later, maybe it's because that episode was sometime, I think in November or maybe early December. And it was the second or first week of January of 2022 was the first episode of Save Trash Cinema, which I noticed that because we cross-posted it on Spotlight at the time. God, and as Kayla mentioned in the chat earlier, not the only spin-off show from Spotlight Games, because the now defunct Spotlight TV also started. Let me see if I have the date of when that started in all my notes here. But friend of the show and host of that show, Jeremiah, a friend from our real life, we started it when The Last of Us started. And so it was between episode 64 and 65, we launched Spotlight TV, and we did episodes for each of the episodes of The Last of Us Season 1. And then Jeremiah went on to do a couple more things, but then eventually it died. And then for Season 2, Dido had started by the time Season 2 came, because then I just joined Clickerbait for the whole season. Right. Because Kayla asked, was I on that? Yes. At the end of the season, we did a crossover episode with Clickerbait, ranking all the episodes of Season 1. That was the finale of Spotlight TV for The Last of Us.
Clickerbait might still be my favorite logo.
Oh, it's throughout
so good.
so fucking good.
All of Dido.
Yeah.
Just such a great logo.
Yeah. I look forward to the day that we can bring Clickerbait back, because It's so good. But yeah, so that was episode 64, 65. So more than a year into doing the shows, and we did the spinoff. Also, the very very first episode we did, episode 0, was us just like talking into a mic and figuring out how to do this, and talking about like a little bit about the kinds of games we like and like what we want out of the podcast. But our first actual episode was a response to Deathloop getting a 10 from IGN and many other places, and we talked about the like what makes a masterpiece in a video game.
Damn.
So we didn't talk about any news still. So that was just like one of our like topic based shows. So then can you guess what the very first news topic we ever talked about in episode 2 was, Kamen?
Dude. Oh man.
So this would have been September 2021.
September of 2021. God, you know what, dude? I have no idea.
It was a Nintendo Direct breakdown.
Really?
It was the Nintendo Direct where they announced the N64 and the Sega coming to NSO. And we also got our first look at Kirby and the Forgotten Land. We got Splatoon 3 single player campaign. And I don't remember Nintendo doing this as much. They announced like 3 different things that were going to happen the next month, like Smash characters being announced next month, an Animal Crossing Direct happening next month. And there was one other thing that I didn't write down. I don't remember what the third thing was, but it was another like tune in next month. Project Triangle Strategy, which just kept the name. When they were like,
That's
oh yeah,
so fucking
name
good,
in the
yeah.
works, but no, they just kept it. And then we got the Metroid Dread story trailer right before it's released the next month in October.
Dude,
But
that's
I was like, man,
crazy. Just
Yeah.
to think back on the fact that we're talking about the first gameplay footage of Elden Ring
yeah. Isn't that crazy?
is one of our first episodes, or thinking of it even talking about like we just saw gameplay of Kirby and the Forgotten Lands is wild.
Yeah.
That's just man. I don't know. It's crazy to think that 200 episodes in almost 5 years, roughly, or
Yeah.
roughly 5 years at this point. We've been doing this. It's
Yeah.
like
Rabbit128 in the chat asks, did I watch episode 1? Sounds familiar, but wasn't sure I was there that early. So episode 1 up until episode 8 episode 1 up until episode 34 wasn't live. And I think you had been tuning into Spotlight because Rabbit is probably the most OG of all of our listeners because we know him
100%.
personally. And when we had started Spotlight, like Rose would share it because Rose and Rabbit used to work together. And actually, did you work with him at the same time, or was that
no, we just barely missed each other.
Got it. And so she had shared it out, and Rabbit was like, "Oh, I like video games," and was tuning in. And so that once we started recording live on Twitch, for a while, Rabbit was like one of the only people that would be in our chat. And like when we started streaming games, Rabbit would show up for that too. So yeah, Rabbit, the OG Spotlight listener and viewer. Because I remember some like personal lore. I had met Rabbit, but we like weren't buds at all. So I remember being like feeling very good about like, oh, that's really cool that a friend of Rose's likes this enough to then come watch us live. And then now like we're buds. Like we talk pretty regularly in Discord and stuff, just because of the podcast, which ultimately, to transition into some more lore, Spotlight eventually how we found everyone at Dido. So I went through and I looked and I found everyone's first appearance from the Dido verse on Spotlight Games. And the first 2 were Jerica and Kayla. Episode 39, we did a crossover episode. So it opens up, it's kind of like just a JK Games episode, but we just also posted it on Spotlight. And then several episodes later, we did like they came on to Spotlight, and it was like it was a Spotlight episode. But the topic for that episode was casting the Horizon and God of War TV show. Then this happens a couple times. It's very funny. Let me actually pull this up in B-roll too. I don't think I have this one pre-pulled up. Oh, I do. Here, let me pop over real fast. In the episode, which also speaking of fucking children, look at Jerica and Kayla in this episode.
Guys.
In the opening of the episode, Jerica says, "It looks like we've bought Spotlight Games and we are one thing now," which eventually became pretty true. But yeah, this at the very, very beginning, let's listen to some of this.
Welcome to JK Games, the gaming podcast where we bring you the gaming news we care about.
I missed this intro.
And maybe some that we don't.
And whether you play on easy mode
Or you're like a good chat.
This is a show where we'll try to level up your gaming knowledge. That's a weird horn thing that I do with my mouth. Sometimes.
What's up, y'all? Oh, this looks great, Jerica. Good job.
Thank you, thank you.
Look at us, just talking shop already at the very, very beginning. Also, Rabbit was saying that double audio for clip scene, just for Kamen. I don't
It's
know.
probably me coming out during the. I'll just not say anything while you're playing. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess maybe it's coming in twice from Video Ninja, perhaps. I don't know.
probably.
But yeah, so that was episode 39. And then Kayla's first solo appearance, episode 72. We talked about video games we wanted remade, such as Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which is very good. Josh's first appearance, episode 101. No. Sorry, that was Jordan's. Josh's first appearance was the Lost Records Bloom and Rage spoiler cast, which I didn't write down the number of what that one, but that was post Dido happening. So that would have been, because that was a game last year. But then Jordan's first episode was episode 101, which I believe the lore goes Jordan found JK Games from Kind of Funny and then caught our crossover episode and then started being in our chat and was in our chat a while. And then right after we finished the top 100, which I'm sure we will be talking about tonight, Jordan joined there. And then Jake, shockingly, episode 136 was his first episode, which again, weirdly, I want to pull that up again, is like a weird foreshadowing of Dido, when like Dido was not in discussion yet, but it ended up like he basically just like fucking nails it. It's very funny.
Oh, buddy.
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me. I feel like it's weird because I'm a streamer and I think a lot of people have parasocial relationships with me, but I have parasocial relationships with you guys, so I'm excited to foster them, and it's like all coming to fruition. Like you two and Cognitive Clips and JK Games, and now I've weaseled my way in here.
All of us.
Oh, the parasocial's turning social, baby.
Very funny that he just snipes all of Dido, and it left out Mori at the time, but Mori, of course, not around anymore. He didn't die. He's just not doing
We
just
don't
fine.
know.
He's doing
We don't
great. It
know.
seems. Yeah.
It's sure.
And then I also, I clicked through every single episode just to see like guests and who has been on the most, who's been on the least, etc. We have had 25 guests all time in Spotlight Games. And of the 25, 13 of those were only for one episode. Do you remember, Kamen, who our very first guest was?
It would have to have been Mod, right?
It wasn't. It was the
Really?
episode before Mod. Do you remember Michael Santiago?
I do remember.
We did one episode with Michael.
Funny story about this episode. So this episode we talked about Pokemon and how Pokemon's actually kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
It's so, which I stand by that. Pokemon's kind of fucked up. But the thing was, is my sister-in-law texts me after and goes, so I decided to put your podcast on because it was talking about Pokemon, and I did not realize that this wasn't appropriate for children because, I've got a whole, kit caboodle of nieces and nephews. So she's like, so I had to quickly turn it off to make certain that they didn't hear. I was
That's
like, oh, yeah,
so
I'm so
funny.
sorry. No, unfortunately, they're going to need to be significantly
Yeah.
older to listen to a single thing that I'm on because I'm an absolute bastard.
That is so funny. Yeah, I was looking back and I remember, so Michael he used to have a podcast. He doesn't do content creation anymore, but I met him in the same masterclass that I met Mondo in. And he was doing a podcast called Gamers University, which was like talking to people that have quote unquote normal jobs and what gaming, how gaming fits into their lives. So he one episode was with, I think a teacher, one was with a janitor maybe.
It was a cool idea.
It was a cool idea. Just ended up not doing it as much, but I remember that episode because we weren't sure if we were getting Mod, which if you don't know Mod has her own channel now. It used to be called Geek Bomb, but now it's like a book club, not a video game book club, but just a book club. But I did a different masterclass with her, and just in the episode or in the masterclass, I just shot my shot. And because we were at that time trying to get to 100 followers because we wanted to change our URL because it was youtube.com/94!67,
Right.
whatever, blah, blah, blah. and we were talking about like branding and like doing episodes all the time, like making sure you stick to schedules and stuff. And she had opened it up for questions. And also, crazily enough, Troy Baker was in this masterclass as like a guest. And so I was like chatting with Troy Baker, which was cool. But she like opened it up for like questions at the end. And I was like, do you have any tips for getting more followers? Because specifically I want to get to 100 so that I can do this thing. And she was like, oh, why don't I just like come on your show and I'll share it with my audience and hopefully that gets you to 100. And I was like, wait, really? You would do that? And then it came together very fast. So in hindsight, no disrespect to Michael Santiago, I wish I had waited to have Michael on the next week so that we could have said our first episode was with Maud Garrett. But then it ended up being Maud was the next episode 10, which
funny.
was a fun, like I look back on that episode in a way. I watched some of it today, and that is, I think we had good episodes before them, but I feel like that was like our first home run of an episode, because it's mostly an interview about her career, and especially like being a woman in a career that is so very much like male dominated.
2 NPCs in a podcast, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a great podcast discussion. We learned like she at one point was maybe going to be like the Bachelorette, but for Australia. Like it was a very cool, cool conversation.
Cool one.
But yeah, so those two of the 13 that was only on for one episode. Jake came in at number 1 with 30 episode appearances, which blew me away, because it's like I'm going from the beginning to now, and it's like he doesn't start doing an episode until 136, but then from 136 to now he's done fucking 30 of them. And part of it was when Clickerbait was happening, I totally forgot. I went out to Rose earlier and I was like, did we go somewhere in March and April of last year? Because for some reason I'm not on like 7 episodes of Spotlight in a row and I don't know why. And then come to find out it's because Dido had launched. I was doing Clickerbait Mondays, and Jake was Jake and Maury were mostly handling Spotlight during that time.
Well, it was also too, there was the other situation that occurred was before all of this occurs, back in like late October, early November of the year previous, I got really sick.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting hospitalized, and that's, so there's a good chunk of time in which I'm just missing from Spotlight. And I still don't think we've really dived too deep into like what all of that was even about.
Yeah, not really.
And so I come back with a stutter and a pair of sunglasses and a very poor attitude. And so there was like this huge chunk. So from like November up until I think February, I wasn't on a single episode during that. And then I remember my first episode back being with you live, just the 2 of us. For the first time was like a really big deal for me, because it had been so long since I had been essentially, and it was even to the point that Jake was hosting and I was just riding shotgun with him because it was like, can we like, basically we're going to try to get through this and just hope that I can still podcast at the end of this.
Yeah.
Here we are now, fast forward a year later. And we're back at it, episode 200. Yeah. Still got sunglasses. Stutter's gotten significantly better. Just wait till I get
significantly better.
Dude, wait till now it's funny still. Sid knows when I'm upset, like when I'm really upset, because it comes back like really fucking bad. Yeah. So when I'm like upset and like really stressed out or having like a panic attack, like I can't even I can barely finish sentences at times. Yeah. Being able to come back and do this now though, being able to run shows, like was hosting the other day for multiple Dido episodes and back to back. So being able to do that's a big leap for me, and it's been very exciting to be here. Being able to celebrate episode 200 is something I don't know if I thought at a certain point in time I would be able to do. But we're back and we're doing it.
To add a little bit to that, so some of the stats I pulled. So there was a 30 episode run from 142 to 171 where you and I didn't get to do a single show together, because the behind the scenes of it was you weren't confident enough that you could just like be the second chair on a show. So it was the first time that, the episode 172 was the first time that it was just the 2 of us since before you had been hospitalized. So that one, that is an episode that I look back very fondly on too. And then because I'm an asshole, it took 7 more episodes for you to ever get to host yourself. Episode 179, the first episode hosted by Kamen Darty.
Yeah,
only
it was
21 episodes ago. The first time I let you do it.
So fucking funny. And it was with, I can't remember, it was like hosting.
It was with Josh.
It was okay. That episode honestly was a fucking
banger.
banger episode.
Yeah.
I even brought this up to be like, we need to do this episode again, but do it for Dido, because the amount of opinions that these fucking people have would make for some good content there.
Yeah, I remember thinking at the time when you were going to host, I was like, wait a second. How has he never hosted? Because the first episode I missed was 158 when it was around the clicker bait time. And so that was the first time that I ever didn't do a show. And so, I just we never considered it. But now...
Well, when we first started too, we were doing Save Trash Cinema as well. So
That's
it was
true.
very much like Patrick hosts Spotlight, I host Save Trash Cinema, and we were running both in tandem alongside. Patrick never hosted an episode of STC.
True.
However, we did have a guest host for STC once, and that was Jeremiah while I was on my honeymoon. And you
That's
guys
right.
finally did Fast and the Furious, which is
That's right.
one of the funniest episodes that we did, and I wasn't even there for it.
I
So
totally forgot
that'll
about that.
say something.
Some more lore. The very first episode where neither of us were on the show, 161. It was during that same time frame. I think it was Jake and Maury that hosted that episode. Which, yeah. So to go back to the number of hosts, so Maury coming in at number 2 with 23, because there was that really big chunk, especially as Dido was launching. That Maury was mostly the third chair, but then sometimes would host and sometimes would be second chair as well, which. Is of course why when I recut only some of the intro, but I didn't want to remove anything out of it because Spotlight wouldn't have been to 200 episodes without people like Maury, who did so much for the show back when Maury was still doing content with us. So yeah, Maury at number 2 with 23. Then Jerica and Kayla tied with 10. There was a long time in which Kayla had like a lot more appearances than Jerica. I guess the favorite member of Dido rumors were true for a bit because she was leading everybody for a long time. And then they ended up tying up later in like the 180s maybe. And then Jordan behind Kayla and Jerica with 9. And then after that, there's like, it's like kind of a cascade. We have Evan Brando with 7. Evan was the most long-running guest for a long time.
Sure.
The first like 50 episodes. He skyrocketed up to 7 episodes. And then he's not been on in like 160 episodes
fuck that
for no
guy.
specific reason other than Kamen fucking hates him. But I do want to get Evan back on because some of my favorite episodes are the episodes with Evan. Also, I believe Evan, I think was our 3rd guest after Mod.
Probably.
Mondo, his first appearance, episode 54, with 6 appearances. Boston Mike, I forgot how much Boston Mike did this episode for like 4 months. He was on like once a month. The favorite of that being an episode I'm sure we will talk about later.
Oh,
in the
we
Golden
will
Beefies.
very much talk about later in
Yeah.
the Golden Beefies.
And then there's a handful of folks that have come on twice. Jacob Askren, haven't had him in a long time.
Yeah, good old
But
Jake.
Jaskren was on when we ranked every single video game console, episode 82. Eric, aka Mr. the Human, did almost like a pseudo back-to-back stint back in 2024. We talked about Metaphor and then the Game Awards recap. I think that was like the beginning, or no, not the beginning. That was like in the middle of your being out was when Eric stepped in a couple times. And then Josh only been on a second time, which was the time that we just talked about. The Hot Takes episode. And Gianni, the homie in Japan right now, also been on 2 times. And then after that, everyone else is just 1 time. So Mod, we talked about. Jordan Conley, my friend from college, he's a comedian in LA now. Very funny guy. You should follow him on socials, LOL Jordan Conley. I'm trying...
We did a
a
special episode
Yeah.
with him that was like a bracket, right?
It was the very first time we did a bracket. It was the PlayStation, best PlayStation exclusive bracket, our episode 50 with Jordan.
Very fun.
But Jordan also a streamer now, and so I'm trying to get Jordan in on our next invitational in May. He might be interested. So because he's a very, very funny and talented person. So I hope to bring him on. And then a couple of these folks I forgot about. Another bracket episode, Will Farr from the Radish podcast, who is a friend of Evan's. We did the best spooky game bracket with Will. We had several times collaborating with like Kind of Funny and IGN and all these things. Cam Hawkins we brought on for the God of War Ragnarok spoiler cast, which is still, I think, our best performing episode of Spotlight. Like years later, people still looking for spoiler cast content about God of War Ragnarok. The aforementioned sexiest characters in video games with the Mouth of the South, Liz McLean. Also, I totally forgot our real life friend Handsome Tony did an episode with us.
He did, didn't he?
We did
Yeah.
another bracket. We did the best open world video game. And I remember that one specifically because we got into a lot of trouble from the audience because we included a lot of games that the audience felt are not open world games, are more just like they maybe have like a big map or like an open zone. But I remember people being so pissed. I don't remember the games, but there were a handful of games that made it like very far that people were like, it's not an open world game. But oh well.
You know what? Here, look, the thing is, if we do anything right here, it's we piss off our audience.
That's so true. And then just a handful more. Phil, which Cog just mentioned in the chat. Phil was on episode 175 ranking M-Sims. The Dan Good Show, who sent a very nice message in the chat earlier, was on around that same time breaking down the 007 reveal. Heroic Headgear in the chat, talking about the top 10 or the best Star Wars games of all time. And then one that I totally forgot about, Bennett's brother Gray. When we talked about the PSVR 2, he came on just like for a topic to talk about PSVR 2. And then the last two, Nick Swalski, aka Sweet Skeet, did one of the top 100 episodes. And then I'm not here to talk shit. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. I'm not here to disrespect people that have helped Spotlight get to where they are. But we had this Irish fella on the show.
Oh my God, this fucking guy.
And the episode we were talking about a PlayStation State of Play. And this guy, we had connected over social media. He was doing like short form clips of like Call of Duty streams. And for some reason we just like started DMing back and forth. And he was like, oh, you should come on the show. And he gave this like facade that he knew a lot about video games. And that episode, honestly, maybe the worst episode we've ever done on the podcast, because so much of that episode is us like kicking to him and being like, what do you think? And he's like, I don't really know anything about that game. It's like, what are we doing here?
Dude, that guy, and we find out at the end, right? We find out at the end that it wasn't even, the reason he was there is because he wanted to get us to pay him so that we could get like farm Call of Duty viewers or some random shit. We were just like, that's not gonna work.
About that.
That's not gonna work for us. Thank you for being here. Sorry that this episode was terrible. Fuck off. And we just moved on with life. 200 episodes later, here we are.
That's so funny. Also, a couple chats that I've missed. Dan Goodshow, Patrick sliding in my DMs always give me the butterflies. Oh, maybe I'll do that later. Also, Cog asks, was it Metaphor that Eric was on for? That is correct.
I think so.
We reviewed Metaphor Refantasio. I think actually that was an episode that you did join for. That was one of the first episodes back.
It was, yeah.
It wasn't your first back, but one of the first. And then, oh fuck, we got a follow from JK James Pod, which I know the lore about, but I won't reveal the lore unless I am given the freedom to by the person that I know who has that account. It came up in our secret recording the other night, the JK James Pod account.
Hold on a second. My wife is giving me shit in the chat right now about why am I not wearing my Spotlight Games shirt too? To which I have to say, I'm pretty sure in pre-show we talked about should I go change into my Spotlight Games shirt too. I didn't. So it's because I'm a bad host. That's why.
JK James Pod. Oh man, who could possibly have a stupid shitty spoof alt account? Who could? Any of us could. Also, Sir Dr. JM of Grow Up Level Up in the chat saying, I'm leaving for a hockey game in 5 minutes, but I had to drop in to say congrats on 200 on the most beautiful people I know. Who's playing tonight? You seeing the Canucks play, perhaps? The Flames? I don't know which part of Canada you're in. Maybe you're seeing the Jets play, the Winnipeg Jets, formerly the Thrashers. I know hockey. I know puck.
No, you don't.
I do. Kayla says, who the fuck is James? And Colemine says, that's a Noah sentence if I've ever read one. Maybe. Who's to say? There was one other chat. I think Squanky, more trouble than when Jake and I did a words you can't say on Twitch bracket. I hope that's true. Squanky. I need that to be true. And if it is true, please drop the link in the chat. Let's see. What other lore before we start doing? Some of this I'm going to skip because we'll talk about it. But also remember the STC crossover eps?
Oh my god. Actually, that brings up one of my favorite episodes that we did together, which we'll talk about later, but yes. I'm not going to mention it here, but the STC crossover events we did, I'm pretty sure the first one was Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City.
That's correct.
The second one I will not name because I want to talk about it later in the show. And the third was the Mortal Kombat reboot. And the thing is, of the three of those, I loved the first and the third and hated the second. And Patrick hated the first and the third and loved the second. And the episode is just me screaming at Patrick for like 30, because those crossover episodes were short. We actually recorded them while we were on lunch break during the middle of the day.
Yo, that's right. I forgot.
And
about
so
that.
I distinctly remember just I'm in my apartment. It's like 1:30 in the afternoon or 12:30 in the afternoon. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs at Patrick about how much I hate him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I loved it though. And I was like, I fucking will murder you. I was so mad at you. I love that.
I did like the Mortal Kombat reboot more than Resident Evil Raccoon City. I was like neutral on it. I was like, I thought I had a good time, but I really didn't like Resident Evil Raccoon City. But then, yeah, the one that we'll talk about later, I do think is actually a pretty good movie. And then one other piece of lore. We became Twitch affiliates episode 111, which I remembered being before 111, but that's not the case. That's when we started putting it in the episode descriptions. It's like, fuck, I thought that was earlier than that, but oh well. Oh yeah, also another piece of lore. I didn't find the first time that we had Chike's music opening the show, but for like at least 100 episodes, I would just rip 8-bit like Nintendo music and intro the show with that on podcast services, not ever on YouTube, because I figured that it would be more apt to be copywritten on YouTube. And some, like, if we were talking about like Uncharted, I would get like an 8-bit version of Nathan Drake's theme, or like God of War. Sometimes I would do the same thing. And then eventually I just like got bored of finding new ones, and I want to say it was the Symphony of the Night music maybe, or Mega Man, one of the Mega Man songs. I just used that for like 60 episodes. And then eventually we got a copyright strike, and they were like, hey, you have a lot of episodes with copywritten music that you probably need to adjust. And I didn't ever adjust them. But
Good for us. Good for us.
Spotlight James Pod just followed. Very, very good. It wasn't Mega Man X. I think it was 2 or 3. I don't remember. I'll find that out, and I'll drop it in the Discord because I forget. Also, okay, last piece of lore, and then let's go into the show, into the Golden Beefies. Do you remember the first platinum review we did?
First platinum review. That had to have been early on. Had to have been, right?
It was relatively early.
You know what? I don't know. Tales of Arise,
Horizon
maybe?
Forbidden West.
Huh.
Episode 22. Now, with an asterisk that maybe there was one before then, but that's the first time it was ever mentioned in the description, was that we were doing a platinum review of Horizon Forbidden West. And also some other lore. And then I want to answer a question from the chat about lore. We tried really hard, actually not really hard. We kind of tried to make golden shovels a thing in our scoring scale. For like, we would just half-assedly be like, oh, what would you give that on the golden shovel scale? It was 1 to 5. And it was how much we dug the game, which I think is a fun play on words, but we just like never really committed to the golden shovels.
We never did we?
And then there was the platinum shovels for how good the platinum was.
Yeah.
But because also like there's personal lore about shovels for me too, back in my improv days, but that's for
I think the big thing was that the shovels, when we did them, you had golden shovels and platinum shovels, because we would be like, this is the review for the game entirely. Just the game itself is X golden shovels.
Yeah.
Now, how good or bad is the platinum? And I'm going to review how to get the platinum. And there was a delineation between the two. And I'll tell you, there were a few games that I've covered over the years doing Spotlight that I was like, games of 5 out of 5 golden shovels, 1 out of 5 platinum shovels.
Yeah.
Of just how awful the experience was to get the platinum. I could probably dig up some of those. There were some terrible games. That
Yeah, I mean,
suffered
the
through.
Spotlight Discord, every now and then, I finally had to kick someone the other day because they just kept, like, no one talks in there anymore other than, like, grifters, essentially, or, like, people that are just trying to sell something. And there was a person that dropped into that Discord at some point recently that was just trying to sell, like, emoji type art or, like, emote type art. And they would post, like, once a week, like, oh, if you need characters, come to me. But all of your old platinum reviews still live there when you used to write up reviews.
Just snag them and port them over to the Dido Discord
could.
for people to thumb through.
Yeah.
They're probably terrible, but they're there.
No, I think a lot of them are very, very good. Also, Fringe Dip says, gotta butter your muffin like Jerica, to which it is a roll. If we don't butter the muffin, Cam, it's a roll. But yeah, I mean, look, it's not a race, but the Golden Shovels existed so long before the buttered roll. I mean, we're talking 2021 when that happened. Who is buttering the muffin? I mean,
Ugh.
but yes, as Sierra says, you do buff the muff, not butter it. Also, Kayla asks, which I don't think I have an answer for, but Kayla says, is there any long-term secrets you guys have kept from each other related to the pod? Like, was there ever something that we like hid from each other? I don't think so. We've always been very open about the shows, including Safe Trash Cinema too.
I don't know. I distinctly remember there was a point in time in which you edited something I said out of an early
that's
episode.
right.
And honestly, looking back on it, would have easily passed today.
Sure.
But
I actually
Patrick-
don't remember what it was about.
Do you want? Can I say it? I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
It was talking about how, remember Goop? Gwyneth Paltrow had Goop.
No, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about like how I was gonna shove I think it was like I was gonna shove an avocado up my ass, because Gwyneth Paltrow was telling people to shove it up their cooches or something, and you were like, oh, okay, we can't have this in the episode. So one day I asked Patrick, I was like, have you edited me out of anything else? And he was like, one other time, but I'm never going to tell you what it was. And I don't know if that was a joke or if you really did edit me one time.
I might have. I honestly do not remember. Because it used to be, so I didn't ever do like a bunch of edits on the show, but especially at the beginning when we weren't using StreamYard, because we didn't use StreamYard the first 7 episodes, and StreamYard would do a lot of the mixing for us. Once we were in StreamYard, I would throw in the music at the beginning and the end, and that was basically it. Unless, because there was one time I edited myself out, only one time. And it was a learning moment. I said something and you were like, I don't think we say that. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm learning.
Here's the thing, you fucking edited that out, but we still have an episode where I say something that we find out live is offensive, and you left it in so that I get canceled in the future. I know you fucking did it on purpose too.
Yeah. How many chats of mine did you blur out? Rabbit asks. I don't know that I've ever blurred out a chat unless I ever did it in like a short as a bit, but I don't think I've ever done that. Also, Squinky says that's only the 3rd weirdest place I've heard an avocado end up on this stream.
Honestly, yeah. I was gonna say very tame.
I'm willing to bet you said something more than just you were going to shove an avocado up your ass for me to edit that out, because that's not very bad.
You know what, man? We were babies. We were still pure. We were still young. We were still trying to be impressionable.
That's true. And I was like, one of the things I do want to talk about tonight, and I will show, we've shown it before, but it's been a while, is the thumbnail for the People versus Kamen Darty. And because I remember I made the thumbnail, and there was just like a voice in the back of my head that was like, maybe this is like tiptoeing across a line, not crossing a line, but like, maybe we don't need to necessarily do this. And I had texted one of our friends, I was like, do you think? And they were like, I mean, kind of, but like more so the fact that you need to ask, I feel like is just enough to just say, maybe do something different. I was like, okay, that's a good point. But then in hindsight, I'm like, it wasn't offensive. If those first like 50, 60 episodes, I think I was afraid of, when we were getting like fucking 30 views, I was like afraid of doing something that was seen as bad and offensive. So I was a bit careful in those times. Man, I do remember telling you that I'd edited one other thing out, and I really don't remember what it is. And I mean, those files, like the unedited files, those are so
Right.
gone.
Here's the
I would
thing
only
I
have
think I
edited
love
ones.
about this is that there's still a seed in the back of my mind. It's like he might have said that to me just for fun.
I might have.
To
I honestly
fuck
might
with
have.
me. And then we end up in a situation where forever I will think that there's another episode out there floating around that has an edited portion because I said something stupid.
That's so funny.
Very
Also-
good for us.
Speaking of saying something stupid, it's been so long ago in the chat now, but High School Weekly said something about he's gifting us not using highlighted messages because after rating last night in JK Games, he did a highlighted message that like backfired on him, and I need that story post haste, Josh, because that sounds very funny, and I had left before y'all rated, because that's very funny. Let's see. I'm trying to see. I'll upload a clip in Discord. Hell yeah. I'm trying to see of all the lore stuff that I pulled, if there's anything else to bring up before we start talking about other things. But I think that is the bulk of it, other than stuff that I know we will bring up during the Golden Beefies. Also, coal mines with a redeemed highlighted message that just says, come. Very good.
Good.
Very good. Kamen, what do you say? We've been waxing poetic, oh my God, for 50 minutes about the first 200 episodes of Spotlight Games. What do you say we jump into some Golden Beefies?
I'm so excited to jump into some Golden Beefies.
You know what's funny about the name, the Golden Beefies, is for a long, long time, I especially noticed this when I was going through those first episodes, I would often refer to you as my beefy boy before I started calling you my sweet dumpster boy. And so that's part of where the Golden Beefies came from.
Right.
But I think we got to bring the Golden Beefies back. I mean, we are technically bringing them back right now, but after tonight, I think we need to bring back the Golden Beefies. Okay. So yeah, so as I said at the top of the show, the Golden Beefies stupid award show that we came up with, that's just like silly topic categories for gaming. Again, very similar to the Ennies, but with our own chaotic spin on it. And this time, instead of it being like the last year of games, we're doing any game that has come out since we started Spotlight Games in September 2021. Noah says the Golden Dumpies now. Ooh. That might be something. Take our little trash can emote, our dumpster emote, maybe make it golden.
Ooh.
That might be something. Which also, actually, I'm just thinking out loud, also with Friendship in the chat, I think the dumpster emote that we have now, I don't know that was a commissioned piece of art. That might have just been like something that we made on like a Canva or something. Unless you remember making that Friendship, I think at some point we should have a Friendship designed dumpster. Unless you did do that and I'm just misremembering. But it doesn't look like your art to me. That looks... We stole it, Heroic Edgar says. Apparently I stole this.
Fuck
I bet
yeah,
Jake
we
did.
did.
I blame Jake.
Sounds about right. We can
Yeah,
blame
Friendship,
everything on Jake.
I am always asking you to make things for me, but let's talk about a dumpster. Okay. Typically, we start the Golden Beefies with the best game that came out that we forgot that came out during the time period. So in this case, the best game that came out, the best game that came out during the first 200 episodes that we forgot came out during the first 200 episodes. Kamen, what you got?
Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I mean, what a game. What an absolute fucking stellar game. I honestly didn't even remember that game existed until earlier today when I was thumbing through like some of the biggest releases that had come out since 2021. I was like, oh, I fucking forgot that game. And and what's so funny about it is we always are like, Joshua. But like, honestly, can't fucking remember anything about that video game now.
Sure.
Outside
Honestly,
of that one thing.
The only reason that one, I didn't think about that one because I do remember that video game because our Sweet Cognitive Clips loves to bring up Final Fantasy 16. So that I am reminded of that game a lot. And with it being in the time frame of me knowing Jordan, it's like, oh, it must have been in the last 200 since I met him then. But I'll tell you one, the game that I came to that I honestly did forget came out during this. and you know, fact check me. I do have a backup if I'm wrong, because I didn't. I'm thinking that maybe I didn't actually fact check this, but I think I think Fall Guys came out.
No
during the
fucking
episode.
way.
Let me double check. Let me do a quick double check.
Fall Guys
release date
has been around since
I'm
the
wrong.
dawn
I'm
of
wrong.
time.
I'm wrong. It was like peak COVID. It was August 2020. Okay, so not Fall Guys. I think Fall Guys. The reason I said Fall Guys, when I was thumbing through the beginning of the episodes, we did like a Fall Guys topic early on, and so in my mind, I was like, oh, that must be when it came out. But then as I was about to say this, I was like, no, I don't feel good that this was in the last 200. So I'm glad I double checked, because
What a great golden beefy to give to a game that doesn't even fit within the
I know, right?
Parameters of the award.
I mean, that is classic me, honestly. All right, I got a couple. And this shouts out an old bit that we used to do that we've not done in a very long time. My friend Peppa Pig,
Oh my god.
which I reviewed on the show.
Yes. Okay. Hold on. Let's run this back. Run this back.
Yeah.
What was it that led to you having to play My Name is Peppa Pig?
I believe, I don't remember exactly because I didn't listen to that part of the episode. I believe it was bet related.
It was a punishment for something. I just
something.
can't remember what.
I don't remember what either. But, and because I remember that, I wanted, Rabbit, do you remember? Because I feel like Rabbit was maybe involved. Oh, it was the episode sub 10 on Twitch. Wait, it was the episode, that was episode sub 10 on Twitch. That was episode, oh, like one of the first 10 episodes we did on Twitch, I think is what he's saying. It was early, for sure. Because yeah, there was a time in which I was also supposed to play, which I never did. I was supposed to play some anime ass game where it's like people in these like mechs that are naked.
Oh yeah, you were supposed to play what Aegis Rim?
Aegis, yeah.
No? Where's High Score Weekly? He knows what I'm talking about.
No, maybe it is Aegis Rim. Hold on. Yeah, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
13 Sentinels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I hear is a good game. I just haven't played it.
I think what we did was we bought each other a game to play. But I can't
That might be
remember
what it was.
I can't remember what game it was that I had to play. And yes, French Dip, you should play that game. You would actually, I think, would enjoy.
I hear the story is fucking fantastic in 13 Sentinels. I just haven't. Yeah, High School Weekly also supposed to be an amazing narrative. It's giving Secret Santa, sure. Yeah, we can say that was our idea before Jake had it. Another one that I actually forgot came out during this time, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Yeah, that one, I saw that pop up and I was like, God, I am shocked, but I'm also not shocked.
Yeah.
You know what got me? Nintendo Switch Sports.
Yo, that's right. I remember we had a topic about that.
We did, yeah. That one I shocked. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That game, man. How do you not do good with that game? But man, they somehow figured out how to make a game not fun.
Which game?
Nintendo Switch Sports.
Yo, sure. Yeah,
I
me
don't
and
know,
Noah playfully fought about that in the Discord last week. But I remember not liking it, and we talked about not liking it. Because I remember specifically you had friends over that weekend, and you guys played it for like an hour, and everyone was like, I don't think so.
Yeah, and honestly, so Noah points out like Switch Sports still massively slept on. You guys got to go play that bowling. Here's the thing: the bowling honestly was the worst part to me.
Whoa! So in the Discord he said that there's like some battle royale bowling mode in that game.
Oh,
that
I
sounds
didn't
cool.
know that. That's
Yeah.
So here's my thing with bowling. What got me was that I was so used to just the muscle memory of doing bowling on the Wii. And it's not the same, even though it is the same.
Sure.
It's way more sensitive. And so I struggled with it, and then I lost confidence in myself.
Yeah.
You know.
I get it. Let's move to the next category. The best DLC. The best downloadable content. This one was a little tough for me because I'm wondering what, because I didn't have like the winners of like the first year we did it. I'm like, it must have been a specific thing that we were like wanting to give flowers to that I didn't listen to, because I was like, DLC is just not like a huge thing anymore. And not to say that it was like a lot bigger then, but like nothing immediately came to mind. I had to Google around for this. Right. But I want to give mine to, it's one piece of the DLC of Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 Night Springs. That was the one where you played as the diner waitress. And it's like, it's very much like a a very like made up scenario, and it's like people in the town are being attacked, and you have a shotgun as the diner waitress, and it was just like a very silly, larger than life like made up chapter of that. Yeah, Coal Mines Night Springs was so good. Yeah, because I remember the Lake House, the part 2 of the DLC that was actually like tying up the story, I didn't really fuck with very much, but Night Springs was very good. What about you, Kamen?
I'm going, and this is going to be a very funny one because this game's going to come up later in this list, but I'm going with Lies of P Overture.
Nice.
Lies of P is I feel like the game slept on, and though it probably isn't slept on, because I do feel like critically it did well, and commercially it also did well, but Overture specifically is just a very interesting DLC that has a lot of very cool ideas. It is also very fucking hard.
Yeah.
But there was something about being dropped into this zoo in the middle of like winter, which felt very, and the way that they like set it up of being like, oh yeah, like you were going back in time to see like events that are leading up and how they played into certain story moments. Very fucking cool. But I can't wait to talk about Lies of P later too.
Okay.
Because it'll come back up with another funny thing, and people are gonna be like, "What the fuck, Kamen?"
Very good.
And fair.
This one is a new category because it's about Spotlight Games. Do you have a favorite episode of the Spotlight Games podcast, Kamen?
I know that this is going to be one that's like on your list too, but I would be remiss to say that one of the funniest episodes of all time is when we ranked our 10 top childhood games.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a clear winner for that one. For
it got so fucking unhinged.
Yeah,
like so unhinged that you were shirtless, I believe, at one point, maybe for a good portion of the episode.
Might have been.
You were screaming at the top of I was screaming. We were all screaming. The audience was screaming.
Yeah.
Barbie fucking won.
Barbie was in the top 10.
I think it was arguably, if I think of what Spotlight Games is, that episode is like the perfect encapsulation of the dumb shit we do.
Yeah.
We've
talked about it before on content, but like so often I play the straight man on our shows.
Yeah.
And that, you know, typically as the host, guiding the conversation, making sure I'm bringing people in and like getting with the chat and things like that. But in the real world, so the episode of Spotlight Games in which we talk about the top 10 episodes of our childhood, that episode is like more of my actual personality in real life, especially when I'm like having fun with friends, than I ever am on one of our podcasts when I'm playing like the straight man. Because I really leaned into being a goblin in that episode.
Yes,
and like, especially if I have a little substance in me, perhaps a little alcohol. Sometimes the more unhinged Patrick will come out. And so that for me, it's like, it's between a few things, but that I think it's in our intro. There's a bit, it's like me like, doing like that in the camera.
Yeah.
That was from that episode. But I think that one, I think back on that a lot too, because that was one where during the episode, Rose is texting me like, hey, you're fucking freaking the cats out, dude. I was like, I don't care.
That's so funny. Another one that I choose, and this is one that we had briefly mentioned in vagueness earlier, but the Save Trash Cinema Spotlight Games crossover episode of Uncharted.
Yeah.
So we'd review Uncharted in this episode, and Patrick is like, I loved it. And here's the thing, still to this day, I don't know if he's telling the truth or not. But he just keeps being like, I love that movie, man. That movie's fucking great. I'm over here melting down.
Yeah.
Because for pretty much the whole lifetime of STC, Patrick would just be like, I don't like anything we've ever watched. I hate everything that
it was
you've made me
very
watch.
rare that I would be like very positive about a movie.
And then he comes into this fucking episode with just the biggest smile on his face, being like, I loved every fucking minute. And I'm over here just so mad, screaming at the top of my lungs.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Fuck you still.
To peel back the curtain a little bit, it's partially a bit, but I do actually like the movie. I don't think it's as good as I say it is, but I do like, I remember, and part of it, because like, I don't know, typically if I'm looking at a movie like a lot of the movies that we watch on Save Trash Cinema where like the audio doesn't sync very well and like all these other things that typically like people think, oh, this makes it like it gives it charm and things. Sometimes those things just like really annoy me. And so oftentimes I am more drawn to just like a cleaner movie than something like Samurai Cop as an example. However, I do fucking despise Mark Wahlberg in that movie. I think he is one of his Sully is embarrassing in that movie.
The casting in that movie is awful. There's not a good casting moment in that entire film.
I liked Tom Holland as Nate, but I think they missed in not making Nate younger than he was and trying to make him seem like he was like the Nate that we knew. Like they didn't do the thing where like, oh, this is Nate, but like 10 years before the games. Like, no, this is just like the Nate you know. But he's Tom Holland, who it's very hard for Tom Holland to pass as like older than 18. So that was a bit tough for sure.
Correct. No, I'm there with you.
But no, it's a movie I've never watched again since it came out. But I remember being like, oh, you know what? That wasn't bad. That's what I would say about the movie. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good movie either. That was good. I think another one that I think fondly on, like the whole Top 100 series, I really loved doing. And it was one of the first times that we did something that big on the channel. For people that don't remember or weren't around or haven't heard about Top 100, it's something honestly I want to bring back and do better with Dido at some point. But we sent out a Google form to anybody that wanted to fill it out. We'd post it on socials. We would be like, share it with your friends, whatever. But ideally, it would be people that listened to and watched the podcast. And we asked them to give us their top 10 games of all time. And we did it like how we do the game of the year ranking. Number 1 got 10 points, number 2 got 9, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I compiled everybody's submissions and made a top 100 list. And we unveiled 20 per episode for 5 episodes. So episodes 96 up to 100. And it was just like a really fun like community thing. And like the list is so fucking unhinged. Like masterpieces like Mario Galaxy are in like the 90s because at that point our audience was a lot smaller, and so the number of I don't remember the number of submissions off the top of my head, but it was the kind of thing where if a game is on only one person's list, it could have still been in the top 100. Like it was a pretty small.
If it was high enough
sample
up,
size.
it would make it.
Yeah, like basically everybody's number 1 made it. Did Def Jam get added? I don't remember if Fight for New York made it. It might have in like the 80s or 90s, but I don't think it made it higher than that if it did. But yeah, I thought that was such a fun, and we brought in like a different guest each episode. So yeah, I want to do that again and figure out like how can we change it up a little bit for Dido, but I think it's a very fun. But even though like some of the audience now, like Rabbit was there from the beginning, a lot of the Spotlight audience they are not really here anymore, at least that I hear them from the beginning. Like our beginning audience, because it was a lot of our personal friends that I think after a point were like, okay, we don't really care about video games. You guys seem to be building an audience on your own. We don't need to give you a pity watch anymore. So those folks aren't around as much, it seems. And now we have real friends in the chat, like Cirrus and Squanky and Rabbit. Well, Rabbit was already there, but you know what I mean. Okay. Next topic we have best game that Patrick refuses to play. This is another one where I forget why this came about originally. It might have been Elden Ring was the original reason for this award.
It could have been. All I know is that every year my response has always been Bulletstorm.
Oh, sure. Yeah, this one.
And I think that might just be what it is. It just gives me another chance to talk about how mad I am that you still have never played Bulletstorm.
Yeah, I at some point I want to do it on stream with you. I feel like that is the way to do it. We should, that was a missed opportunity for in person to not do some Bulletstorm streaming.
That would have been fucking great.
Next time.
Yeah.
Next in-person event. Yeah, this one, I struggled because I thought of so many games. I was like, well, technically I've played it. But it's like, I just haven't played, like I gave up on it really early. So like I thought about Elden Ring. And ultimately I went with Crimson Desert. But I want to go Bulletstorm because I've played those other 2 games. And I've never touched Bulletstorm before. So I think Bulletstorm makes sense for this one as well. Biggest disappointment of a video game in the last 200 episodes. I have a couple for this one, but what do you have?
So, biggest disappointment for me, I've got two major ones. The first one is going to be Diablo 4.
Yeah, that's a great
Diablo 4, I think, is a very solid. This game came out, and I was, as someone who's a huge fan of the Diablo series leading up to that, was massively disappointed. And then my next one is Starfield.
Oh, sure.
I'm a huge Bethesda guy.
Yeah.
And so Starfield seemed like one that was like, there's no way this is going to suck. And
Sure.
maybe it doesn't suck, but like, it did not hit the way, and it definitely made me feel like Bethesda is starting to feel archaic in their ability to make games. So
That's fair.
that's where I'm at there. Biggest disappointment. Those are my two. What about you, Patrick?
You know, Starfield isn't one that I considered because also I was a lot higher on Starfield than you were, especially because I hit credits and I feel like Starfield is at its best when you get to New Game Plus, which is like such an annoying fucking take of like, oh, it's the best when you have beaten the game. But it's true. Like the gameplay loop of beating the game, I think, is the most interesting part of that video game. But it is also a game that I want to try again on PlayStation if it's ever like at a deep enough sale, because I liked it enough. I don't remember the amount of time. I probably put somewhere between 40 and 50 hours into it. I wanted it to be better than it was. And I was, I remember having conversations on this podcast of like, is Starfield going to be this game of the generation that everyone wants? And it all hinged on, is it going to feel like a Bethesda game or not? And ultimately it did. Yeah. Like it was still very janky. It's still like they redid the animations for dialogue, but it still felt soulless like it always does in Bethesda.
I would like to read the chat. Starfield is like going on a date with Jake. Starfield is best when it's over and you can look at it in your past and be glad you don't have to do it again. That's from Noah.
You're not wrong. But no, the two games that came to me, Cinema Saga Hellblade 2. And, there's the age-old debate of like, did gamers just give themselves too big of shoes to fill with this game? But I don't think so based on the trailers that they showed us. I really expected that to be like a huge step up from the first game. And I think in most ways I prefer the first game to the second game. But I think my real answer is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Mostly with it being a title by Rocksteady.
Sure.
And like when we saw that first in-depth look in a state of play, like we knew that was not going to be good. So it's not that like I was expecting it to be good at launch and was disappointed. It was that I couldn't believe that it was such a big fumble for Rocksteady with their history to then make a fucking less than mid live service game, like a bad game. So that one I think was a bit of a heartbreaker, was Kill the Justice League. Also, like I've talked about it before, I think I talked about it then, I just like don't care when they try to make us care about being the bad guy. Like,
yeah,
it's just, it's hard for me to care. Like, and like with movies and stuff, like, oh, watch Kraven the Hunter. It's like, why?
I still stand by that we should do a Kill the Justice League playthrough. Or at least some like where we get all together, because the servers are, if I believe, still up.
They're still up. Yeah.
So like, and I bought a copy of like when it was like on like $4 months ago.
Yeah,
I bought a copy. Why
beginning
not?
Dido lore, we almost did like most of us bought it because it was on sale for like $4 and we were gonna do it to Kill the Justice League stream, and that never happened.
We should bring it back and do it the old fashioned way.
Man, Noah with a slam dunk in the chat. No game will ever hit that bad guy tone the way Spec Ops The Line does, and nobody should try. Dude,
yeah.
Talk about a fucking bad guy tone. The video game Spec Ops The Line is the perfect example. Another Nolan North vehicle. All right, this one dipping back into the Spotlight lore. The best and worst thumbnail. Did you dig into our past for this, or is this just one I'll do?
So I'm going to let you run with it. I will say that, man, our early thumbnails were boring as fuck.
Boring as fuck. Here, let me jump over to B-roll. Not that. We'll show a little bit of that later. So I pulled this one is our worst one. This is just episode 8, Guardians of the Galaxy and Tales of Arise reviews, featuring Wizard Fingers. which was
here's
just
the thing: the wizard fingers thing is still great. And if you don't know what a wizard finger is, it's when you go to a gas station and the hot dogs have been on the rollers for too long and they're all shriveled up and look like wizard fingers. Fucking solid. That's a solid title, though.
apparently I'm really loud here, so I just turned myself down. Thank you, Noah. I bet Kamen is quiet too. I just turned him down. So that one I think is unequivocally our worst. And in fact, this is our very first YouTube thumbnail. So
Yeah.
we did this style for like 3 episodes of this just like purple background with just like fucking that basic ass Canva neon text on top.
Man,
and
it's
then
so bad.
we went to which this one I have as one of my, it's like, it's a favorite, not in that I don't think it's a good thumbnail. I just remember this thumbnail made myself laugh when Will Mario be nude in Mario Kart 9, episode 15's topic. This was our thumbnail for a while, where essentially if you just like cut it in half, the left side of it was our like square thumbnail for socials. And then we would just like widen it, throw the logo on the right. And this was like our YouTube thumbnail for like a while, was this like pink and purple. It was just a template in Canva because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Someone tell me, was Mario nude in Mario Kart 9? I'm uncertain. Never played it.
Never, he wasn't. And yeah, Noah asks, how long before Mario Kart World is this? This would have been like January 2022-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was when, there was the leading story of this episode was there's a rumor that the next Mario Kart is going to have like a new thing in it. And so we were like pontificating on what the thing was. And our bit was that he would just be naked in the next game. Little did we know that that game wouldn't come out for 4 more years. And I guess the bit was
an open world.
Open world, and
you get to play as a cow with udders.
Exactly. Blaster Goblin says you had to eat a burger for naked Mario costume. Ugh. He does do the open Hawaiian shirt with no undershirt in the world. That's true. As close as we got to naked.
Well, I'll take it.
And then this one, so this is the one I was talking about earlier. So this was the people versus Kamen Darky. I recreated, I said, Kamen, will you put a glove on and put your hands over your eyes? This is reminiscent of the people versus O.J. Simpson, the show, the Ryan Murphy show. This was like their poster. I really don't know why I was scared to post this. I don't know why I was like, oh, would this get us in trouble? Because it's a really fucking good thumbnail.
It is very good.
And then we ended up doing something like, actually here, let me pull up the B-roll back up, because this is the episode. Let me see. Can I see a thumbnail from this? I don't think I can. Let me hit.
I didn't even really notice that the spotlight is all is behind jail bars.
Yeah. So because this one classic. I took for this episode, I took the Law and Order theme song and found an 8-bit version of it and played that.
There was that clip where it was you having me shake my ass in camera to the rhythm of the dun dun.
That is honestly one of audio doubling. I wonder why that is. Maybe try now. Came and say something again.
All right. I'm assuming it's because it's probably pulling my audio.
It must be pulling it.
Video
must in some capacity. But I muted the B-roll. Okay, yeah. So for some reason it's pulling your audio through the B-roll scene, even though you're not in that. Anyway. But yeah, this I can't see the thumbnail, but it's just like, because I wore here. Let me actually start it. I won't play any audio from it because I don't want to double it. But I'm in this stupid fucking wig, and we have Boston Mike with the OJ scene behind him.
So some explanation here on what's happening is Boston Mike makes some comment about something about Pokemon, and I say live on air, like I repeat his claim about it live on air.
Yeah, that's right.
He comes back and says, that's not what I said. But the thing is he texted it to me. So I actually had physical evidence that he had said what I had said, like verbatim. I still lost the case.
I'm going to see if this is, if I find it, I'm going to ask you to be quiet. No, it's not in YouTube. I would have to find it because we didn't start doing shorts on YouTube for a long time. I'll share it in the Discord because it is a very funny clip that you know, we were trying too hard. It's not a clip that ever would have found an audience, but the clip is like the promo for the episode, and it explains the topic of the episode, and it's one of my more proud pieces of work that I've done.
Yeah,
but if you scroll back
very
far
good.
enough on our Instagram or TikTok, it's on there. But yeah, and then one more that or actually two more of the thumbnails. I always really liked. This was episode 38. 23 new Final Fantasy games and Fallout 5 in 2035. It's a shit thumbnail, but just for some reason, just putting Todd Howard's face on Cloud and Sephiroth as I was scrolling through them.
Very fun.
I enjoyed. And then one of our more recent ones, this was during when Maury and Jake were on the show a lot. It was our first episode back, and
was right.
Spotlight Games apologizes, and it was just we were apologizing for the fact that it was Jake and Maury for so long and not us. But this thumbnail also I really enjoyed, even though again it's not a very good YouTube thumbnail. I think unequivocally the best one is the People versus Kamen Darty.
Yeah.
But this one I did.
The Spotlight Games apologizes. Very good though.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, I appreciate that you used two different Todd Howard pics for that thumbnail. That's exactly right. Because, one wasn't looking the right way. Okay, next one. The best game that we didn't play in the 200 episodes of Spotlight Games, Kamen. What's yours?
That's a good question. Let's see. Here are I'm going to throw my three out. Bop, bop, bop. Resident Evil Requiem. Still haven't played it.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
Donkey Kong Bonanza. Still
Yeah.
haven't played it. Obviously, we've already addressed it. Still haven't played Mar. Anything on the Switch, too. Haven't played. Here's one that I'm going to go ahead and say I didn't play because I only played one hand of it and said I fucking hate this game. But I know it's one of those where you just got to play more, and that's Balatro.
Yeah.
Where I probably should go back to it and do it again, but one hand was enough.
That's fair. Because you're just, historically, you don't like a deck builder.
No, yeah,
So-
I'm not smart enough for it.
And it's like, if you don't like Balatro, you're probably not going to like any deck builder. Like,
Right.
Noah says, bring me on to live coach Kamen through Balatro Mastery. I think the problem is I think Kamen doesn't care about Balatro enough and deck builders enough. But
Here's the thing.
I do like the idea.
I'm very excited for Vampire Crawlers, which is also a deck builder based in the Vampire Survivors universe with everything. And so, like, maybe I will need to have someone come in and teach me how to play that game when it comes out because I'm too dumb to do it.
Yeah. Squeaky says, bring me on to live JOI for Patrick. Which, if you don't know what JOI means, Google it. Not on your work computer.
Google it, not on your work computer. Yeah.
This one was tough for me because I dabble so much
Yeah.
in games that, like, it's something like an Elden Ring I'll play for like 5 hours and I fucking hate it and I leave. So but I went through, I looked at the highest rated video games each year of the years that we did the podcast. And so, like, this list isn't super interesting to me. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was high up there with an 89 that I've never played, even though I do have it. I got a discount on it on the Switch and I just haven't played it. Neon White was another one that I was always interested in playing, but I never did, that a lot of people really, really love. But then I think my actual choice is UFO 50. Are you familiar with UFO 50, Kamen?
I am familiar, but I haven't played it. But I love the idea of it.
Me too.
I think it's very good.
Of just like 50 different weird video games.
Well, I mean, it's a riff off on, like, they used to do that a lot back in the day. You used to get compilation packs of, like, a bunch of, like, really small games together, but they all kind of sucked. You may have, like, one or two games that were actually fun to play. The rest were dog shit. Apparently, this is 50 very good games all in one thing. So, like, they do it the correct way, I suppose.
Yeah, at some point I do want to play it. I just haven't yet. Next up, Kamen. The best game that kind of sucks, but we still love it. This one also was hard for me because, I love a game typically because I think it's good. But so then I was like, okay, let me take myself back a little bit more and, like, more objectively. And I think to the two games that I thought of, I think Stray leaves a lot to be desired.
Sure.
Like, I think there's a lot about Stray that is cute and good. It's too small, but right there I have a Stray Lego knockoff set. Because I really like the world of Stray and the fact that you get to be a cute cat. But I think there's a lot in the mechanics of Stray that, like I said, leave a lot to be desired. And then also Dungeons of Hinterberg was a game that I really went hard for. I went to bat for a lot, trying to convince people that it's a very, very good video game. And I think the more I've sat with it, and I even went back to it on a different platform briefly, and I was like, something about this game caught my eye and I really liked it because it's really not as good as I think it is. There's, again, a lot left to be desired in Dungeons of Hinterberg, but I do still really love playing. Like, I think it's a fun game.
Here's my thing. Dungeons of Hinterberg, got the platinum for it. I feel like it was a solid 4 out of 5 golden shovels, a solid 2 out of 5 platinum shovels.
Ooh, sure.
And I
remember
think
the platinum being tough for you.
Well, it wasn't tough. It was just a grind.
Yeah.
And a very boring grind. My picks here. I'm gonna crack a joke and say Crimson Desert.
Sure.
But I have to say, I was having a conversation in Slack, the video game Slack channel we have at work, and someone was like, "Anybody who played enough of the game think it's worth playing?" And I said, I was like, I've put 60 plus hours into it. I don't foresee a world in which I stop playing for a long time. Like, I'm so fucking hooked into this. And someone goes, yeah, but the controls, I've heard the controls are bad. I was like, dude, 60 plus hours into this game, I fear that if I tried to play a game with good controls, I wouldn't be able to play a game again. Like,
Sure.
Because you get so used to it. I think that's the thing. But I think the two for me, the legitimate answers here, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
I look janky as hell.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And then the other is Immortals of Avium, where
Yeah,
I feel like
for sure that game kind of sucks.
And you know what? As another platinum that I got that, like, honestly was one of my favorite platinums that I've gotten since we started doing Spotlight. Now I do have an actual answer for that question later down the line, but Immortals of Avium is not that bad, and I feel like if you just play the game and just be okay with some of its shortcomings, like, it is a very fun game.
Yeah.
But man, it can be a bit grating at times and a bit bland at times, but there's something there. I would have loved to have seen if they could have made a second game, though.
I think to say it sucks is unfair. I think it's the kind of thing where if it's not like your favorite genre or like something about it that you just really love, whether it's like aesthetically or the lore, whatever, it's the kind of thing where it's like if those things don't click for you, it feels like a slog because like there's nothing about this game that's like really drawing me in.
That is
so I think it's unfair to say the game sucks. I think it's just in a lot of ways it's very bland.
I'm the one that selected it. So,
sure.
I stand by the fact that, like, there are parts of this game that maybe aren't great.
Yeah.
And that's okay. This is, to me, didn't even rank it. Couldn't even make it to the Sevens episode because it comes in the 60s on Metacritic. So apparently everyone else agreed.
Apparently. Next up, the best dumpster dive. This is something that we used to do a lot more on this channel. In like the what we're playing section, we a lot of the time, I mean, there was a run there for like every week you would have a new dumpster dive review, and we've not done it as much lately, but this is a fun one. And Kamen, what's your pick?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with 2 picks here. First, I've screamed from the rooftops about this game for forever, and that is Terrastar Video's Bloodwash.
Yeah,
which is trash cinema, the video game. If you're down to clown with like PS1 era graphics of like a goofy ass story about this character called the Womb Ripper that steals babies from pregnant women, it's a fucking wild ride. It is like an 80s slasher film wrapped up in one really weird walking sim. Highly recommend Bloodwash, but the one I'm really want people to go out and play, and that's Pizza Possum.
Ooh.
I fucking love Pizza Possum. I love every single thing about Pizza Possum. I think Pizza Possum is potentially one of the greatest games ever made. I think it is, if you want a couch co-op game where you can just sink several hours into dumb fun and chaos, Pizza Possum is the absolute fucking best.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I still need to play it. I think I have it downloaded on PlayStation because I want to say... actually, maybe not. I was thinking it was one of the PS Plus games, but I don't think that's true. I think I just...
Maybe. I mean, look, I think it's less than $10.
Yeah.
So
My choice for this one, I just have one, but it's a game that Rose and I streamed because you were like, you must stream this whole game. Trust me, Benfeito.
oh man,
Benfeito is the kind of thing where it's like, I don't want to tell you what it's about. It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's more interesting. It's like 2 hours tops, and it is such a fucking crazy 2 hours that is really, it's so interesting and so cool, and does a lot of cool. It's like indie the video game, like it's and it's a horror game. It's like light horror, but it's so cool. It's like, I do wish that, and I'm sure there are like dozens of games as cool as Benfeito that exist out there that just are under the mound and mountain of Steam games.
Need someone to dive for him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Benfeito really loved. Bemfeito. If you don't know how to speak Portuguese, I believe it's a Portuguese game.
It is Portuguese, correct?
Kamen, you have a question in the chat. Noah says, "Did Kamen ever get around to my old dumpster dive wreck? Stars in the trash. If not, how long do I have to wet his knob to get him to take the dive? It's on sale right now."
It's on my wish list. I actually think I saw it pop up that it was on sale. I'll go ahead and snag a copy and get to it, Noah.
There you go. Next up, another one about Spotlight Games. Your favorite podcast topic style that we've done. So think the bracket episodes, the building a list episodes, the special topics like it could just be like the one-off, like Mount Rushmore of video game characters, like those kinds of things. Do you have one that jumps out to you, Kamen, as one that you loved?
There was an episode where we built the perfect video game for ourselves.
That's right. Yeah.
And I made this like fucking wild ass, like it was like Elden Ring, but Skyrim, and it was just kind of like this perfect RPG for me. And I was like, this is great. I say that though, I do love when we do science-based bracket buildings.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's nothing better than seeing how bad and how incorrect science can be.
Correct. Yeah, my favorite is like specifically the building of the top 10 lists. Like the top 100 as an event, I really loved, but like top 10 games of our childhood, it's a repeat of my favorite episode that we've done. But we did, me and Phil did building MSIMs, but I feel it's just a fun structure of like, let's just vomit out a bunch of shit about specific games that we think should be considered, and then whittling it down to 10 and then placing the 10. I feel like it's like a fun 3-act structure of that I think we should do more of. We don't want to do something too much, but it is, I think it's just a really fun topic style. Also, I was remembering about that, what you mentioned, the building our dream video game. It's a thing. It's one of the few times in Spotlight history that we like said we were going to do something and just never followed through on it, where the end of one episode, you built your dream game, and then the end of the next episode, I built my dream game, and we were supposed to like pit them against each other and like have the audience pick whose dream game was better. But after I built my dream game, we never talked about it again.
Because you knew mine was better.
Back. Probably because I knew yours was better and I didn't. Maybe that's going back to Kayla's question from an hour ago. A secret. I never wanted to have the third conversation because I knew I'd lose. There you go. Only a few more left. Best game we didn't get to finish, but absolutely plan to finish. I have a few for me, but what do you got, Kamen?
So I'm literally on like the last chapter of Ghost of Yote. There's that one. I also still haven't played I still haven't beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
That's on my list.
It's too big and there's too many mini games that pad out the length of that game.
The embarrassing thing for me is that I have at most came in 45 minutes of that video game. Like, I'm at the fucking end.
That's so funny.
Like I don't know, maybe I have a little bit more than 45 minutes, but like when I look at the chapter walkthrough on like an IGN, I'm like there. And in the game, I'm fucking there. Like there's a big shit is happening. And I don't remember the reason why I stopped playing. I want to say maybe another game came out, or there was a specific reason where I was like, I'm going to get back to this. And then I just never did. And then it just so much time happened that I was like, well, and then I got the PS5 Pro and I was like, oh, that would be a good excuse to finish this game because it's supposedly Rebirth is like stunning on the PS5 Pro. And I still haven't. So that's one of mine.
Yeah, man. And my last one is Lies of P.
Overture?
No,
Or just
Lies of P.
Okay.
So here's the thing: in Lies of P, Overture comes before like it comes. So there's like I think like 14 chapters in Lies of P, and Overture becomes available in like chapter 10. Well, I did Overture and never went back and finished Lies of P.
That's funny. That's funny.
So I have no idea, and I know that there's some like absolutely mind-boggling shit that's gonna hit for me when I get back and like actually beat the game because so much. There's a lot of things that happen at the end of Overture that like apparently play into the ending of Lies of P. So I can only imagine the touching moment that I will have when I finally get to that.
Sure.
But one day, I'll do it.
Going back to Rebirth, we have a couple chats. Noah says, Rebirth is way too full of itself, not only in that like the way of it is self-aggrandizing tonally, but also just every little idea they had was drawn out so much and iterated on so far that it's just too daunting to actually get through everything it has to offer. And then Big Freakin' says it has a crazy difficulty spike at the end for me that I thought was going to soft lock me. I don't think it was the difficulty that stopped me, but I do agree with Noah. Like, so I only have a tiny chunk left, but I remember I played about half of that game and didn't play it for several months because I was burnt out on the game because I 100%ed the first like 4 areas because I really loved the beginning of that game. And then I burnt myself out and to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to do like only what I have to do in each area. But then I got to a point where I was like, I just don't want to play this anymore. I took several months off and I came back and it took me a while to like get the ropes back. Like video games can be so tough in that way of you spend 50 hours learning a game and then you unlearn it for the next 3 months that when you try to pick it back up, it's like, fuck, it feels impossible. But then I went through, however many hours to the very end and then just never finished it. The other two for me, another Final Fantasy Tactics remake. I picked that up last year because that's a game that over the years, I've just heard nothing but the best fucking things about tactics. Narratively, system-wise, as a tactic strategy game, like it's always been S tier. And I played about an hour of it, and I was just so uninterested. But it's the kind of thing where I think if I, like with Crimson Desert, if I put more time into it, I bet I will fuck with it. There's something about it I couldn't get past. And again, something else came out at the time because this was late last year. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, I'm just going to move on. And then Seance of Blake Manor is another one from the very, very end of last year that reviewed really well, won some awards and like indie outlets and stuff. I was so impressed with the hour that I played, but it was just like a bit too daunting to go back to because you play as like an investigator and the systems in that game are like so impressive of everyone having like a full minute to minute schedule and talking to people at certain times. And like, there's just so much like tiny shit in that game that I got really overwhelmed by how much was possible. So I hope to go back to Seance of Blake Manor at some point, but I haven't yet. Next up, best platinum trophy, Kamen. This one's easy for me. Astrobot.
Astrobot was great. I got a couple of these, and these are all very interesting, but I'm going to start with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Good pick.
Just a really fun, great platinum that really explores every inch of the game. Skyrim, which I think is one of the coolest ways that I've ever platinumed a game, because I've beat that game so many times, but I've never platinumed it before.
Yeah.
So when I went into it, I was like, how long is this going to take me? And then how quickly can I do it? And I did it in around 60 hours.
Nice.
Which most guides had it around 80. Nice. But I was so locked in on knowing every single thing about Skyrim already that I literally I was planning on trophies that I couldn't get until hour 50. I was planning on them immediately, knowing it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. But my number one platinum trophy throughout the entirety of Spotlight Games is Dragon Quest XI.
Whoa.
And the reason being is because the audience helped finance my ability to get a PlayStation Portal. So the audience came together. They banded together. They paid for me to get a portal with the condition that if I got the portal, I had to platinum Dragon Quest XI. And I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I just knew 115 hours
I forgot
later.
the audience got you a portal.
Yeah, 115 hours later, I platinum Dragon Quest XI, and it still stands the test of time as my favorite platinum I've ever gotten.
Nice.
Just an absolutely perfect game, perfect platinum, 5 out of 5 golden shovels, 5 out of 5 platinum shovels.
Hell yeah.
Stand by it.
Yeah, for me, Astrobot, as I said, and Noah in the chat puts it very succinctly. Astrobot was one of the few games that made me care about a platinum. I care less about platinums now than I used to. I've never been to Kamen's level, but I have I have like somewhere in like the 30 to 40 range of platinum trophies. I used to be a lot more into them, but that one was like, it's the rare game for me where the game is so good. I want to get the platinum just because I want to do everything. Like, it's not even I just want to check the boxes and get the trophy. I love the game so much. I want to do fucking everything. So that Astrobot for me for sure. Kamen, we're down to our final 2 awards.
Yee.
What typically we would say is our game of the year, but now that we're gonna just say the game of the last 200 episodes. So the Godel Tubi. What you got? The Godel Tui. Instead of the Goaty, the Godel Tui. GOTL2E.
The sponsor us Tubi award. Is
Exactly. That's exactly
your voice. So of the game of the year, I'm gonna go with 3 games. I think, Patrick, you also have 3 games based on my understanding of what we're doing. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So gonna start with the first, which is Elden Ring.
Ooh, yeah, sure.
Truth is, fucking hate Elden Ring.
Yeah.
But the truth also is that Elden Ring is one of the greatest games that's ever been made. I hate to admit it, but it's true. Second is Metaphor ReFantazio.
Ooh, okay.
I feel like Metaphor ReFantazio does something incredibly unique with the Persona style JRPG. It does something that I haven't seen before and ends up putting out a game that is incredibly special to me, given the time I played it and everything that went into it. It was at the same time I was hospitalized, and that was the game that I can't get out of the hospital, and my wife was like, you need something to do. You can't just sit around and wallow in all the shit going on. And so I got myself a copy of Metaphor, and goddamn, man.
Great game.
Just an incredible game. But my last pick for Game of the Year for the last 200 episodes is going to be Power Wash Simulator.
Nice.
And I do think that if I had to pick a video game to show a caveman, it would be Power Wash Simulator 2.
That's
We
funny.
just smoke a J and fucking pressure wash some shit, you know?
Yeah.
Just be good. Just be good.
Noah's choices, his 3 choices, give me Concord, give me High Guard, and give me Crime Boss Rockay City. Which is very good. Very, very good.
Yes.
So for me, I mean, there's, the list could be so long. And I'm going to pivot a little bit. So I had Deathloop written here, but like, I feel like I've talked about Deathloop a good amount on this podcast and drop in, drop out. So I want to sub in what might be a surprise pick, Resident Evil 4 remake. I think it's just such like, I replayed it earlier this year leading into Requiem. And for years and years, I would say that Resident Evil 2 was my favorite, Resident Evil, but Resident Evil 4, man, like, it's so fucking good, and like it's such a good remake in that it changes things up just enough while also staying so true to so much of that game that it's kind of a triumph of a game, I think.
Really is.
Also, Deathloop, regarding Deathloop, Squanky says that was a good pick for a game you liked, but everyone forgot about. I did consider that for that, but then I was gonna have it here, and in hindsight, I think Deathloop was the right choice for that first one for me. And then, so Resident Evil 4, give a shout out to that. And then I also want to say Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom is a game that, I've talked about so much on podcasts before also, but it's the game where like, I kind of can't wait to play it again. Like, I really look forward to the time when I'm ready to be like, you know what? brand new save file. Let's just do it all again. Because I've tried that a couple times for Breath of the Wild, and I've gotten like somewhat far. I've gotten like 60 or 70% through of like a playthrough of Breath of the Wild again, mostly just like mainlining shit. But I didn't finish it. And I think it was like I did it just a bit too soon. But also, I just think Tears of the Kingdom is better than Breath of the Wild in most every way. Not, Breath of the Wild's still fucking great. But I just, all the things that they add to Tears of the Kingdom, their powers, I think, are just more fun. The upstairs and the downstairs, I think, is just a fun addition. So I would say Tears of the Kingdom on there. And then again, a game, I'm going to pivot. I had Hades 2 on here, but again, it's also a game I've talked about pretty recently. So I want to go back to Alan Wake 2, a game I talked about as DLC earlier.
I like that.
But
That's
Alan
a good
Wake
pick.
2 is, I think also when I think about my, especially like the time in Spotlight, I remember that year's Game of the Year discussion being so tight, and Alan Wake 2, like me really fighting for Alan Wake 2 that year. And I don't think it ended up winning. I think it ended up going to Baldur's Gate 3 actually for us with our the way the scoring went out. But Alan Wake 2, I love that game so much. I was watching an episode of Actually, which is a Dropout TV like trivia show on YouTube, and they talked about Alan Wake a couple times, and I was watching it with Rose and a friend of ours, and I was just like, man, Alan Wake is a franchise that I hope makes the jump from games to either TV or movies, because I feel like the story of Alan Wake is just so interesting that I think it would really fucking work for an audience that doesn't know gaming, because it's like it kind of transcends, I think, in the way that they tell that story.
Very Twin Peaksy.
Yeah, for
which
sure.
I think people very, very much vibe with.
Yeah.
When it comes to TV.
Rabbit in the chat says games to give an alien. This is a fun additional award. He says Earthworm Jim, Mugenics, and Dad Dating Simulator sums up humanity. You're not wrong.
Yeah,
You are not
pretty
wrong.
sure. Pretty sure that's true.
And then our final Golden Beefy. It wouldn't be the Golden Beefies, Kami. Oh, I've never called you Kami before.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you.
It wouldn't be the Golden Beefies Kamen if we didn't give our final Golden Beefy to the best movie of 1997. Now, some lore on this Kamen. Of course, historically, this was an excuse to just talk about Good Burger. But there are other movies that have won this award before. Dante's Peak won it one year.
Yeah.
Con Air won it one year.
It's true.
Good Burger, because we each give an award. Good Burger does have the most wins in this category. I think it's won every year from you. So it has at least 3 or 4 of them.
Sure.
But so I'm going to start for this one to see if the streak survives with you. Ice Cream Weekly says Good Burger. I need Kel emotes. I would love some Kel emotes. Noah says Boogie Nights. Not even close. Boogie Nights, a great choice.
It's a good choice.
I'm
Could
between
win this year.
I'm actually between 2, and Cayman, I'd like for you to pick for me between these two, because it's 2 games or 2 movies that we've not talked about in this category before. Christopher Guest's Waiting for Guffman
Okay.
and Batman and Robin.
Oh, I definitely think we know the answer here, Patrick. Which one has nipples and which one doesn't?
Batman and Robin. That's exactly
All right.
right.
All right. You know, look, there's a lot of really good selections that I could pick from. There's some call outs in chat. Squinky says, Kamen going off book and picking Funny Games or Cube.
Whoa.
Perfect Blue, Event Horizon, Spawn, Wishmaster, Fifth Element. All of those are great, but are they as good as the 3-time winner of the best movie from 1997, Good Burger? Home of the Good Burger, may I take your order?
God, it's so good. I remember in the first Golden Beefies, when we were still like trying to make bits a thing, in that episode, you introduced that line as something that Marty Scorsese once said.
Man, we were cooking back in the day.
We were cooking with something.
We were cooking with something. Methamphetamines, I believe.
That's correct.
might be
That's
the
correct.
case.
Yes.
Yes.
And yeah, Rabbit says, fuck, 97 was so good. It really was. Like, the list of movies from 90, I mean, we didn't even talk about Titanic. Like,
Right.
what I think most people would universally agree on as the best movie, but it's like, come on. They've not seen Good Burger.
They've never seen Good Burger.
Ooh, Squinky says, have me on for an all 97 movie draft.
Ooh,
Squinky,
that
if
would
you'll
be fun.
come on, We will do that because that's a great topic. Is the best movie of 1997 The Draft?
I would love the idea of replacing Jake with Squanky.
Yes.
In the room,
Correct.
but we just address him as Jake the whole time.
Jakey Joinkers.
Jakey
Also,
Joinkers.
Mouse Hunt, the Nathan Lane vehicle. Fuck. That's good. 97 goated, I fear. Yeah, we need to do a bonus drop of the best movie of 1997 for sure.
Yeah.
Kamen, I think we're at the end. I think that is everything we have for episode 200 of Spotlight Games, a drop in, drop out podcast.
Super deluxe double stuffed edition.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we could have done.
You.
I don't think we could have done an episode 200 that wasn't just absolute rot with lore and deep dives and stuff.
For sure.
But I think looking over the last 200 episodes, it's been such a wild ride. Personally, just for me, I mean, we've gone through all the things, but like getting married, leaving the city and moving 2 hours up into the middle of the bumfuck nowhere in the mountains.
Sure, yeah.
Having to all of a sudden now have to use a cane and wearing sunglasses. Having to suffer through Far Cry 6. You know, like so many life events that we have gone through. You had a tree fall through your house.
Yeah. Still
you know,
doing
like your car was stolen at one
Twice.
point. Like twice. Your garbage can was also stolen too.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, the garbage can was stolen twice. The car was stolen once.
We got him up. You know, that same thing.
Yeah.
I think the thing is 200 episodes over 5 years is wild. The fact that we've been doing it for this long is insane. I'm very excited to see what Spotlight becomes and does as part of Dido, even more intrinsically part of Dido. I think it's going to add an extra layer to Dido that I think is really going to just make it a more complete package. And I think that this is a natural evolution, and I think the 200 episode mark is a perfect time to do it.
I agree. Well said. And to be clear, next week is episode 201. We're still, it's still Spotlight Games. It's just in a new place with a new beautiful logo made by the French Dip Design. And it's the kind of thing where it's like maybe sometimes there might be an episode that could have been a Dido topic on Thursday that we end up doing on Tuesday, or vice versa. Like it's just now we just have there's a specific place for news on Dido on the channel now, which I'm excited for. And also, of course, shout out to our chat, a very poppin' and supportive chat today. We got some subs, we got some new followers in JK James Pod and Spotlight James Pod. the James Wars coming soon. But thank you guys for the support. I mean, when we started doing this at 100 bits with the message "come" from Rabbit, very good. When we started doing this, like we were told by so many people that do podcasting for a living, like the key is consistency and showing up every week. And of course, we've missed some weeks here and there, but hitting 200 in 5 years, like you said, like. It's a consistency thing. Like we've not missed a ton of Tuesdays, and I think in that we've just been able to form a much better podcast with a better flow. And as you were saying at the top of the show, like being able to feed off each other so much better now is for sure. Like it's something that we've built over 200 episodes. So as Kayla says in the chat, 200 more, they're coming, as are we right now. But yeah, again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will be back Thursday right here on twitch.tv/drop-in-drop-out-pod with, in the chat, the French Dip Design. We're going to be picking the year for video games. Each of us are coming with a different year, and we'll make our argument for why that is the best year in gaming and also our favorite year in gaming. Very, very excited. It's going to be me, Jerica, Jake, and Cameron, the French Dip Design. A little 4-stack for you right here on twitch.tv/drop-in-drop-out-pod. Kamen.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
As
and
always.
I'll see you on the next one. I won't see you Thursday, but I will see you on the next one. And now, watch the new outro with the logo again. Is it this one?